Alright, this is just a quick rundown of where we're at with this GX4 from Taurus. I purchased this the end of April, picked it up the first week of May. Took it out to the round for the first time and just had a bunch of failures. With Fiocchi 115 grain ammo, I had 4 failures to feed. Magtech 124 grains, 50 rounds, I had 8 failures to feed. Magtech 115 grain, 8 failures to feed. S&B ammo 115 grain, 6 failures to feed. Aguila 115, 2 failures to feed. PMC bronze 115 grain, 5 failures to feed. Blazer brass 115 grain, 12 failures to feed. And Max Tech 115 grain, 5 failures to feed. And that was shooting 50 rounds out of each with each ammo, each type of ammo. Also, the front sight came loose, so I ended up taking that off while I was shooting the rest of this ammo. I sent it back to Taurus on May 23rd. They received it on the 26th. They sent it back to me on June 8th, and I received it back on June 12th. They replaced the front sight, also replaced the barrel and the recoil spring, and they said they tested it with Winchester 115 grain ammo with no issues. Also, just so everybody knows, all the ammo that I was shooting was just regular full metal jacket. I also did shoot some Federal Hydroshock ammo, 124 grain, and I didn't have any failures with that ammo, so that was the only ammo that wasn't failing. So anyway, sent it back to Taurus, they sent it back to me. I went out to the range a second time, and I did have some Winchester 115 grain ammo. I started shooting that. I had some failures, multiple failures to feed with the first couple of magazines I shot. I tried it again later on, and there was one round that kind of delayed to feed. The slide didn't close all the way, but then after a quick second, it ended up closing again. So that was the only failure or issue I had with Winchester. Well, initially I shot some Winchester and I had failures to feed, but I went back and shot a couple more mags with it and didn't have any issues with it the second time. I shot a couple rounds of Magtech 115 grain, had failures to feed with those. Aguila 124 grain, I had some failures to feed with those. I went back and shot a couple more mags with that, and I didn't have any issues the second time. PMC bronze, I had failures to feed with that, and I had some more Max Tech ammo left. I didn't have any issues with that, and I also had some Tula ammo, didn't have any issues with that. So it seemed like it did better with some ammo, but most of the ammo I was shooting, it still was failing to feed a lot. So I'm going to take it out to the range again today and see what happens out there, and I'm going to try to shoot 2 full mags of each ammo and see what results we get from there. I still have a bunch of different types of ammo: Winchester, Magtech, Tula, Aguila, PMC bronze, some Winchester, and then I bought some more ammo, some more S&B, and some Remington, and a couple other things. I'm not sure what I got. But we're going to go back out and see what happens. So next video will be out at the range. Alright, we're here at the range with the Taurus GX4. Going to do some more ammo testing. We're going to start off with the 9mm, the 124 grain Aguila. So we had a failure to feed. I'm not putting the rounds back in. I'm just going to remove that round and try to chamber the next one. Then chamber. And you can see they're in the mag, seating in the mag just fine. Okay, that was magazine number 1, so we had 2 failures there. And ran okay with magazine number 2. So the next ammo is going to be the 115 grain MagTech. All right, we got magazine number 1 with the 115 grain MagTech ammo. Didn't want to chamber the first round. Failure to feed on the second round. Actually, that would be the third round. Didn't want to chamber that one. Didn't want to chamber that one. And this is magazine number 2. Didn't want to chamber that one. Didn't want to chamber that one. So I'm going to lock the slide back on this one. Didn't want to. I'm trying to make sure I pull the slide all the way back, and I'm just releasing it. That one worked. So, several failures there with the MagTech 115 grain. Just isn't chambering those rounds very well. Next up, I have some MagTech 124 grain. So next one will be the 124 grain. All right, MagTech 124 grain. I'm going to make sure I have the slide lock back on all of these to see if it chambers any differently. That one didn't. So it's not really, doesn't really seem like there's a difference in the MagTech here when it comes to trying to chamber with the slide lock back or trying to do it while it's closed. So that one worked fine. And that was magazine 2. So here we're doing magazine 1. Another failure to feed there. Oh, that one, sorry, I thought that one was a failure, but that one wasn't. Alright, so a few more with the Magtech 124. I'm only going to do 2 magazines with each ammo. So next up I have some Norma 115 grain. So we're going to try that next. Alright, we got the Norma 115 grain. We're starting off with magazine number 1. Slide lock back. That one seemed to go okay. Magazine number 2. Alright, something there. There was a round in the chamber. Kind of looks like a light primer strike. I'm going to put that one back in and see what happens when we try to chamber that one again, or shoot that one again. Looks like another light primer strike on that one. That was the last round. And another light primer strike. So I had a light primer strike once before, but I assumed it was, this is the same round that just came out. I assumed it was the ammo because I didn't have any other light primer strikes with the other ammo. But I don't know. We'll have to see how the rest of the ammo shoots. Next up I have some Blazer Brass 115 grain. So we'll try that next. Alright, Blazer Brass, magazine number 1. Alright, Blazer Brass, magazine number 1. Failure to feed. Alright, magazine number 2. Oh, that one did. I thought that one before was didn't feed, but it did. But that last one didn't. Thought I had another light primer strike there, so I went to pull the trigger again just to make sure I had a reset, and that one went off. So I think maybe I just didn't reset the trigger all the way on that one. All right, next up, PMC bronze. I had mixed results with this one before, so we'll try this one again. All right, PMC bronze 115. Starting out with magazine number 1. Had mixed results with this one earlier. Kind of seems like we're starting from where we left off the last time. All right, magazine number 2. Doesn't want to load these rounds. All right, that loaded that one. Now I want to make sure I'm not inducing any of these initial failures to chamber when I'm racking the slide. So I'm doing my best to make sure I do it consistently. But even without that, we're still getting enough failures to feed. While we're just shooting those. All right, next up we have some Remington Range 115 grain. All these are full metal jackets, by the way. All right, Remington up next. All right, Remington Range 115 grain. Starting off with magazine number 1. And magazine number 2. Alright, well that's the first one today that ran okay. Maybe I'll hold on to that one and I'll do a couple more mags later on to see if it remains consistent, but so far today that's the only one that hasn't caused an issue. Alright, next up we got this Fiocchi Range Dynamics. This is a 147 grain, so we're going to see how that works. I shot some Fiocchi before. Wasn't the Range Dynamics though, it was just kind of like their regular brand. And I still had failures to feed on with that ammo as well, so we'll see if this works any different. Starting off with magazine number 1. Didn't chamber. And magazine number 2. You know, in some of these it seems like it doesn't want to chamber the first few rounds, but once you get past the first few rounds, it seems like it feeds the rest of them just fine. So that was the first 3 rounds in that magazine, didn't want to chamber. 4th round didn't want to chamber. 5th round, didn't want to chamber. 6th round, this is magazine number 2, so definitely not working as well as magazine number 1. And I'm doing all of these with the slide locked back, trying to chamber them with the slide locked back. I only got 2 more rounds. I haven't fired 1 shot out of this magazine yet. Last round worked. Alright, so the 147 grain didn't work too well. I have the same brand, Fiocchi Range Dynamics. I have a 115 grain next. Alright, next up is this Fiocchi Range Dynamics 115 grain. And magazine number 1. Didn't chamber the first round. Chambered the next one. Failure to feed. And magazine number 2. Well, aside from that first round, that seemed to go okay. Next up, I'm going to try some more of the Winchester 115 grain. I had mixed results with that one last time as well. Alright, we got the Winchester 115 grain, starting off with magazine number 1. And magazine number 2. So I had the one malfunction there with the Winchester. So I'm going to hold that off to the side along with that Remington range and then the Fiocchi, and I might shoot some of them a little bit later to see if there's any malfunctions later on with those. Next up we have 115 grain S&B. Also had failures with this one as well, so we'll see how this one works. Alright, 115 grain S&B, starting off with mag number 1. These don't really seem to want to chamber too well. You know, one of my last, well, let me try this first. That chambered. Alright, then so didn't do so well with mag 1. Let's try mag 2. Alright, let's lock this back. I'm going to keep the slide closed this time. Seemed to chamber a little bit better there. Still doesn't stop the failures to feed though when you're shooting. Alright, S&B 115 grain. Didn't do much better. I have some S&B 124 grain. Let's try that. Alright, I was starting to say something when I was shooting the last batch of ammo. And what that was last time I was out here, like about a week ago, I shot pistol a couple of times and I kind of felt like a vibration. It felt a little bit different, something I've never felt before. And when I'm loading some of these mags, the spring, when I'm compressing the spring to, I use the Uplula mag loader. Sometimes when I'm squeezing the loader and then pushing it down, there's a couple of times I kind of heard something in the spring. So maybe there's an issue with the magazines or not, because I'm kind of getting failures with both mags. Sometimes one mag will do a little bit better than the other, but nothing really consistent to make me think that it's there's an issue with either magazine. So, but just something that I've noticed. All right, we got the S&B 124 grain. So let's see how this works. Slide lock back, chambered. So I'm going to do it with the slide closed, chambered. That one didn't chamber. That one didn't chamber. And when I'm doing this, I'm pulling this all the way back. I'm hesitating for just that split second to make sure I'm all the way back. And then letting it go. That one chambered. That was the last round. So we're empty, so magazine number 2. Alright, so both magazines had a couple failures with each mag. Alright, next up we got some more of the tool ammo, 115 grain. I didn't have any issues with this the last time I was out here. Both mags ran fine. We'll see what happens today. Alright, tool ammo, 115 grain. Starting off with magazine number 1. Like I said, last time I was out here, I did not have any issues with this ammo. Also like to note is, when I sent this back to Taurus, I gave it a cleaning. And then when I got it back from Taurus, they had shot 2 mags worth with the Winchester 115 grain. They said they didn't have any problems. When I came out to the range after I got it back, I did not clean it that day. So it was still dirty from the 22 rounds that they shot at the Taurus. So before I came out here today, I did clean this. So I wanted to make sure it was clean before I shot it again. Because I don't want anybody thinking that I'm shooting a gun that hasn't been cleaned. So cleaned and lubricated. Alright, that one didn't go off. So that looks like a light primer strike. That's what that round looks like. Here's what a primer strike looks like on a round that has been fired well. Kind of an irregular primer strike, but from what I've heard, other people have said that's normal. So we're going to put that round back in and try it again. I could not see where that one landed. I was hoping I could find that one. Not sure if it's this one or not. This one was somewhere in the vicinity where that landed. but I'm not sure if that's the actual round or not that I just fired. All right, let's try the rest of this. And magazine number 2. Yeah, major flinch there. Sometimes you just can't get rid of bad habits. So it looks like another light primer strike. We'll put that one back in. So far, every time I put that round back in, they seem to fire fine. Same thing. I'm going to hold that round for later. I'm not going to fire it right now. I'll fire it later. Like I said, I didn't have any problem with this ammo last time. Alright, these are the 2 rounds that didn't fire earlier out of this magazine. Alright. So aside from some light primer strikes, the Tula didn't do too bad. I'm not sure if those primer strikes are because of the ammo though, or if it's because of the pistol now. I'm starting to see more light primer strikes than I did before. First time I had the pistol out, I didn't have any. The second time I had it out, I had the 1, and then today I have what, 4, 5 or 6. So not sure what to think about that. All right, last type of ammo I have here is the Federal Hydroshock. That's a hollow point, 124 grain. I didn't have any problems with this before, so we'll see how it works today. Okay, Federal Hydroshock, 124 grain. Didn't have any issues with this ammo before, so we'll see what happens today. Starting off with magazine number 1. I'd also like to mention that this is only a 20 round box, so I only loaded 10 rounds in each mag. Yeah, no problems with the Hydroshock. So I had 4 types of ammo that ran fairly well, and that was the Remington Range, 115 grain. Also the Range Dynamics by Fiocchi, 115 grain. The Tula ran okay except for the primers, and the Winchester ran okay here. So I'm going to load up 1 more magazine of each of those, and we're going to see how, if there's any more problems with 1 more mag of each. So I'm going to start out with the Fiocchi and the Remington. Alright, I have magazine number 1 loaded with the Remington Range, Remington Range, 115 grain. That one was fine, and then magazine number 2 with the Fiocchi range dynamics, also 115 grain. Alright, both of those did okay. Next up, I'm going to do one more mag of the Tula 115 grain, and then also the Winchester 115 grain. Alright, before I do the Winchester, I remembered I had another box of the Tula ammo. So I had this box here that I brought today, and then I had another partial that I had from last week. So I'm going to shoot the ammo out of magazine number 2. This is the stuff that I had from last week that was out of a different box. I just want to see if there's any light primer strikes with this ammo compared to the box that I was shooting earlier today. And we had a round that didn't chamber. I'm kind of curious. I'm actually going to put that round back in. Alright, that one chambered. Alright, had that first round didn't chamber. I put that round back in, it chambered the next time. So not sure what was going on there, but no light primer strikes. So now this is the this is going to be the box that I had earlier. So we're going to see how this one works. Alright, aside from that one failure to chamber, no light primer strikes or anything there. So Tula seems to do okay. Not perfect, but better than the other brands. Alright, one more magazine out of the Winchester 115 grain. This is out of magazine number 1. And that one didn't chamber. I'm going to throw that one back in quick. Chambered that time. And that mag ran fine. So, kind of mixed results with the different ammo. Some ammo seems to work okay, some doesn't. Some of the ammo seems to work okay on one day and doesn't work the greatest on the next day. I would like to just kind of show everybody so there's I had the Gila, the Power Shock, and let me zoom out here a little bit. There's the rest of the ammo that I had: Winchester, Fiocchi, Tula, S&B, Magtech, Blazer Brass. Also had that Norma there. I didn't keep track of how many rounds I fired, but you can see a lot of brass on the ground. This is how many failures I had. I counted them up just a little bit ago in between loading mags, and there's 62 rounds there that either failure to chamber or failure to feed. That's not including the light primer strikes and the 2 or 3 rounds that I just put back into the magazine. So definitely have some issues with this pistol. I like Taurus. I have the G2C. Haven't had any issues with that one. I also, at the same time I picked this up, I picked up the TX22. And I think I was shooting Remington Golden bullets with that. And I think there were some issues with the manufacturing of those. It's kind of like a bulk pack. There were some bullets that looked like they had been shaved off or something. But I came out and shot some other 22 ammo, just like a bulk bucket type ammo from Federal, and that ran just fine in that TX22. So I definitely don't have any issues with Taurus in general. Just this particular pistol seems to be having some issues. So I'll be contacting Taurus again and sending this back. Very inconsistent with some ammo, and just the majority of the ammo is just not working with it. So I'll let you know what happens when I get it back from Taurus.